I can get somebody to help me with those things that I don't like to do, and I'm not naive to my weaknesses. But I'm coming from a place of strength now. And the other one provides objective measures. Provides objective measures. Either you did it or you didn't. And here's the definition of objective. It's something that one's efforts or actions are intended to attain or accomplish. We're all talking about accomplishing our goals. And with the new year, we're being rejuvenated to do so. This information is all the different goals that we've talked about today, whether it's a career goal or a personal goal or a leadership goal. What we're going to do is a work-life balance goal. And we in the coaching profession, we have these different sources of goals, so we have these different wheels. The wheel that you have, that you already worked with, is the work-life balance wheel to help you set a goal. So there's all these different ways to do that. And there's a reason that we use this in coaching is because it's a self-assessment of important areas of your life. You can clearly see what those are. It's a visual tool for easy reference. And it helps you generate potential goals for those areas in your life. Now we're going to move on to SMART goals. And I know a lot of you probably know what these SMART goals are, so we're going to see how much you learned in school. What does the S stand for? Specific. Exactly. That goal has to be specific and clearly define what you will do and answer the what and the why of the goal. One thing I always suggest to clients that I work with when we're setting goals is to say a statement like this. I promise I will. Whatever. I promise I will. I did that with a client once. He goes, what? You want me to write that down? It's like, you either want it or you don't. He was worried about being held accountable and whether or not he was going to do it. So that's just one suggestion. I promise I will. I actually I turned in my performance review to my boss, and what I put on my goals was, I promise I will do these 5 things. What does the M stand for? Measurable. Exactly. Identify targets within the goal which can be used to evaluate your overall goal progress. Like Amanda was talking about evaluation, evaluating your progress. What does the A stand for? Attainable. Attainable or achievable. Attainable or achievable. Know that the goal is solely your responsibility. Not anybody else's, but yours. Has to be within your control. What's the R stand for? I'm sorry?
Realistic.
Realistic. Realistic. Make goals that challenge you, but are doable. And what's the T stand for? Time bound. Time bound. Have to set a time frame for that goal. Okay. This is the part that I'm going to do a group coaching session with all of you at this point. So I want you to grab what I call the goal developer. The goal developer. And I want you to kind of look at that work-life balance wheel that you've done. And I want you to be thinking about one goal that you're going to set. And I'm going to ask you some questions that you can jot down bullet points or write down your answers on the back of the life balance wheel. I want you to really think about these questions and maybe write down some bullets to these questions. We're going to start with, from that work-life balance diagram that you did, I want you to be able to come up at the end of this with one goal to meet by Thursday, June 28th of 2012. And I want you to think about the big picture first. Let's talk about the big picture first. So here's the first question. What outcome or result are you looking to get by reaching that goal? What outcome or result are you looking to get to reach that goal? Another question to consider, what would be different than you have right now? What would be different than you have right now? So these are just questions that you can answer on the back of either the goal developer or the balance wheel, because by the end you'll come up with an actual goal, and you might say, I promise I will do whatever. All right, so that's kind of the big picture. All right, now let's talk about these desired results. This is what I think a lot of people miss, is creating that vision. So here's some questions about these desired results. What does success look like? On Thursday, June 28th, what does success look like? What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Who are you hanging out with? What does success look like? What results are you looking to get by getting to that date, to that goal? What results are you looking to get? And what will you have that you don't have right now? What will you have that you don't have right now? Okay? Now let's move on to the action steps. There's a definition of action that I saw in a dictionary, and here's what they said for that definition. I want you to think about the word action. Here's what it said. It said habitual, vigorous activity. Habitual, vigorous activity. That's action. That's a way to change behavior. Science actually says that it takes 21 consecutive days of doing something to create a habit. 21 consecutive days. So here's some questions that I want you to think about for these action steps. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? What specific steps do you promise to take to complete your goal? What specific steps do you promise to take to complete your goal? Who should be responsible for each step? Who's ultimately responsible? Kind of like what John was talking about. And when will you begin each of those steps? What specific date will you begin? Then another part is, as your coach, how will I know when each step has been successfully completed? How will I know, as your coach, that each step has been successfully completed? The next one is obstacles. You know better than anybody else what's going to get in the way. You talked about it already. Life gets in the way. Money gets in the way. So through your own self-awareness, you know what these obstacles are. So write down what the obstacles are going to be. Write them down. Because when you write down what those obstacles are you can go back to the action steps and put some more action steps to counter those obstacles. And here's what I think some of the biggest issues are with the obstacles is, it's that inner negative voice, that gremlin voice that says you're going to fail, you're not good enough, the fear, the self-doubt, people judging you. Like I used to have a gremlin voice that said, people are judging me when I'm up here speaking. I don't have that voice anymore. I still know it's there, but I'm able to harness that now. That gremlin voice isn't telling you the truth unless you choose to let it. Unless you choose to let it. So here are some of the things that I want you to think about as far as these obstacles. What obstacles stand in the way of accomplishing your goal? What obstacles stand in your way of accomplishing your goal? Who might resist you reaching that goal? Who might resist? What resources do you need that you don't have? What resources? Money, time, people, technology? What resource do you need that you don't have right now? What are the other priority goals competing for your time? What are the other priority goals competing for your time? And what are the risks involved in reaching that goal? What are the risks? And then when it comes to a start date, when are you going to start? Specifically, what date are you going to start? How will I know as your coach that you started? How will I know? And then lastly, will you do it? You said it. Will you do it or not? I think the other part that is missing a lot of times for these goals is accountability. We don't hold ourselves accountable. That's why as a coach, I hope to keep people accountable for what they said they're going to do. You either did it or you didn't. If you did it, let's talk about the results of that, get some feedback. If you didn't do it, what was more important than what you said you were going to do? What's more important? Once you kind of think about that goal that you're setting up right now, as I get ready to wrap up, so I'd like to ask, does anybody have a goal that they would like to share with us? Anybody like to have a goal to share with us? Okay, Denny's going to share his goal. In the interest of time, I would actually ask you to do your goal, your action steps, and all those, but in the interest of time, just your goal. So what goal do you have, Denny?
Oh, by June 28th, I will have a job in my field of study that I enjoy.
Excellent. Give it up for sharing that. Good job. So, Denny, I'm going to hold you accountable for that by June 28th. Maybe I can help you do that too, because I'm part of that process too. All right. So, thanks, Denny, for sharing. And in conclusion, what you've learned today are 3 important ideas about goals. Talk about creating a vision, stating in the positive, provides consistency on decisions and actions. To discover how setting goals leads to success by determining what is important, clarifying roles and actions, provides direction, provides objective measures, it builds on strengths. You learn the source of a goal that we use today is the work-life balance diagram. You know what the SMART goals are, and I hope that by Thursday, June 28th, you will have reached your goal. Thank you.
It's nothing better than getting a little inspiration at the beginning of the year. I think I threw down about 3 goals, and we'll see how that goes.